ourselves, we've been working really, really hard for the last 6 months. And really this idea of, that's kind of our theme from the teacher perspective with Futures Radio is, are we getting our kids engaged in what we're calling deep learning? And are we getting them engaged in this idea of citizenship and positive change? The fact that media can play a role in building community, media can play a role in citizenship, global issues, etc. So that's what we're going to look at today, and the kids are going to talk a lot about where they're at in those contexts. Yeah?
From the outside, you can see the production, you can see the audio, you can see the products that are being made, but hopefully you'll get a better idea, through the students about the actual, topic sentences and the framing of the craft, and how there's actually a lot of literacy and writing that goes into actually producing of a piece, and the piece just becomes an authentic output for writing and literacy.
Being from North America, we were big fans of National Public Radio in the US and sort of the integrity of the journalism in National Public Radio. And we said to ourselves, why can't we have our students have that similar type of media and journalistic integrity? Why not? So we started using NPR as mentor models. We took NPR's mission and crafted our own mission, and that's where this sort of originated from.
The way that news is shared, the way that media, the way that information is shared, they're making a move away from written text. And a lot of what engages our kids these days is not necessarily written text. It's important that we get their hands on written text, but we also need to make sure that we are educating kids with the skills that they need through the most effective media channels. It's their life, it's their world, and they can do these things now. In grade 4 to grade 12, they can produce amazing documentaries with amazing messages and amazing interviews.
But Aaron and I were trying to keep it even a little bit more simple and contained for our students as we sort of get them into this idea of, are you thinking on a deep level? And this is actually a big international push right now. It's called the 6 C's of deep thinking. And we really like what's happening in the middle there as sort of our indicators for whether or not Futures Public Radio is working for our students. So whenever we're working in the workshop or whenever the kids are producing work, we ask ourselves, and we ask them too intentionally to tell us, are you being a positive collaborator? Or are you using collaboration to produce your piece? Well, you know that if we have a tech team, you have an interview team, etc., editing team, there's a lot of collaboration going on. But it's tough. It can be stressful, and you're going to hear about a conference we're going to this weekend coming up where our kids are going to have to be in 50 different workshops with 1,500 students and 10 keynotes. And we're the media team at a high school conference, middle school kids mostly going to a high school conference to run media. It's really exciting. So collaboration. Critical thinking, obviously, in there with the planning, the intentionality, problem solving on the spot. Creativity. You'll see a lot of creativity in some of the pieces today, especially Sean at the end with some of his discussions on cinematography. Citizenship, that's where my bread and butter is citizenship. I want our kids to be good global citizens, sustainable thinkers, okay, entrepreneurs that are concerned about social well-being, etc. Communication, media, I don't think I have to say much about that. And the last one that I think is really important and sometimes we forget is character. Again, I think that ties really well to collaboration and citizenship. We need to think about that. Are we creating, in a sense, are we molding, are we shaping kids that have good character? And balanced media, unbiased media, stories about global issues and global citizens of the world or local community stories builds character. And when you share those, kids walk away having a better perspective of the world, and to be honest, they're better people. And I know that's a big, big motivator for Aaron and myself, is in the end, are our kids better for being in this program? And I think you'll see today the answer is yes. Judy was one of my students. She came in halfway through last year, EAL intermediate student, and FPR really took her to another level with her literacy and her confidence, and she's going to share about 7 to 8 minutes of her experience.
So, hello, my name is Judy Park, and I'm from 9th grade, and I am currently leading the high school Futures Public Radio. One of the fields I am concentrating in FPR is about music. Music, personally, I think it is the method you can communicate without any limitation to everyone. You don't have to learn a language, and in a short period of time, you can see through someone's life. Individuality and imagination, inspiration, ideas, and creativity, it's all in the music. So YUAN concert, it is made to create a place for many inspirational and awesome artists to share their stories and talent. Through this concert, we hope that the ISB community and eventually the whole world can share and develop their creativity. Like I said, there are no limitations. Young, old, men, women, anyone can participate. So the interview I did, they are Brooklyn-based duo called Overcoats. They're very cool people. And we all love their songs.
Hi, we're Overcoats, and you're listening to Futures Public Radio at the International School of Beijing.
Hi Hannah and JJ. I'm Judy from Futures Public Radio.
Hi, Judy. Thanks for having us on Futures Public Radio. We're so excited to be answering your questions.
First, we want to start with a question about the group history. Why do you name yourself Overcoats? Is there any special symbolism behind the name?
So a few years ago when we were trying to decide on a name, we both love big jackets, and we were wearing a lot of them in the winter time. And so that's something we were thinking about. And then we also wanted a name that kind of acted as an overcoat or kind of an outside layer that protected the music, because the music is very vulnerable. We wanted a name that when you put the music on, you weren't sure what you were going to hear.
Who actually writes the song? Or do you divide your work in lyrics or melody? Or where do you get ideas for lyrics and melody?
We write all of the songs together, sometimes together in person, and other times we'll send each other ideas or little voice notes. But each of the songs is a collaboration between the two of us.
Could you tell us a little bit about one or two songs about melody or lyrics?
Kai's song Leave the Light On in the Fog are actually all about kind of similar themes, those three. They're all kind of about independence and self-reliance and being able to do things on your own instead of needing another person or a relationship or your parents to do them for you.
We'd love for you to perform an acoustic version of one of your songs. We can share it with our community. Could you do that for us?
You were made for me, but will you wait for me? When the party's over, will you take me home? How did I lose myself in everyone around me? But oh God, I have never felt alive like this. Staring at my face in the mirror, are you coming back to me? Are you coming back to me? Staring at my face in the mirror, are you coming back to me? Are you coming back?
I try to see through their lives, through the music they composed. I try to understand their goals in life. The main goal, the final goal, is to be creative and share your story. Another story I want to talk about is about the language. I came to ISB last January, so it's about a year right now. And I actually, knowing nothing, instantly joined FPR. I didn't know about FPR, but I was kind of forced to join it. In my EAL class, one day I just went there to study. And Mr. Sostak told me, "You are gonna interview an author in 20 minutes. And I was just, what? 20 minutes I interview someone? So yeah, I just took all these ideas and questions I could think of, these vocabularies, books, I went down to borrow them, and after 20 minutes, I did that. I did the interview and it was successful. And that was the first step I took in FPR. And after that, I just started to help the others, like organizing interviews, watch some videos online, and read some books. And yeah, I was kind of building my confidence. And he put into a fire. I got an opportunity to lead a town hall meeting with Mr. Hurworth, the headmaster of ISB. That was unexpected, actually. So the town hall meeting is a meeting or an interview that audience participates and they ask questions, then the interviewee answers. During the interview and for the preparation for it, I worked a lot. It was a lot of work. Watch all these other town hall meetings on YouTube and preparing questions with my classmates and rehearsing and fixing where do I put the camera and how do I sit, how do I talk. And the real interview too. It was difficult and challenging work. I took a lot of time and effort in there. And all the projects and interviews I did were like that. But the returns was really huge. Especially in my English. Like I said, I just came a year ago here. And I'm sure many of your children are having English as their second or third language, like I do. I believe that FPR, as a journalism club, the interviews and videos, writings, filming, and editing all these things can be very helpful to your communication skills and expanding your knowledge and thinking. Thank you.
Next, we are going to have a superstar who's been there, I guess, since the beginning, since FPR was even an idea and it wasn't even called FPR, and he was there helping us scribble ideas together on whiteboards and sort of, it's been one of our main men, so I'll let Lyndon tell you a little bit about his process through the last 2 years-ish. Welcome, Lyndon.
People enjoy talking about themselves and their past experiences. We were really able to hear that with our latest interview and the descriptions. So interviewing 101. Before the interview even happens, you have to contact the interviewee. When we contact the interviewee, we explain what FPR is. Then we do a 3-page document planning our interview. This goes all the way from knowing your subject to knowing the backgrounds and to know who's at the back doing all the technical stuff. So let's go back to the difference between my first interview and my latest interview. My first interview, I used an H1. If you can teach me how to record on this, I'll pay you $1 million because you can't record on this. And in my latest interview, I used a shotgun mic as well as cameras. So right now, if you don't get what I'm saying my first interview was like listening to a radio, and my latest interview was like watching an HD TV. Now that's a big difference.
I'm Lynn Bills interviewing Chen Yongyang, a bronze medal gymnast. And you're listening to Futures Public Radio.
Have you fought in any battles, and what battles?
I would say that I haven't fought in any battles, but there are 2 times in my life where I deployed overseas to a combat zone. The first time was in 1992, 1993, and that was to Somalia in the east coast of Africa. I did not fight in any very specific battles, but we conducted security operations in that country. The second time was in 2005. I deployed to Iraq, in the north of Baghdad, for 1 year. Again, no battles, but I was in the unit that provided security.
早餐只能吃1个鸡蛋，中午呢只能吃1小块鱼，吃点青菜，晚上也一样1小块鸡肉，基本上一点水果，水果都不能够直接往下咽的，就把那个水搅了，就把那个渣子会吐出来，就是保持一个良好的体型。
你吃了1个小鸡蛋，你会饿吗？
会很饿。我从10岁开始，一直到我22岁的体操生涯，我们没有吃过米饭，我们没有吃过面包，我们没有吃过面条，类似这样的碳水化合物，我们都不给碰。但有时候会偷偷吃啊，有时候教练不在的时候，我们会偷偷会吃点面包什么的，因为有时候会嘴馋嘛，对吧？有时也会饿，但基本上是属于那种饥饿的状态，很多年了。
Interviewing skills have improved from my first interview with Mr. DeSico to my latest interview with a bronze medal gymnast. Thank you.
Not only do you have that bilingual, multilingual celebration that's going on from Lyndon's personal growth and the people he's interviewing, you have now also technological literacy. And the reason we kind of put that other slide underneath this picture, this TriCaster, by the way, is a monster. I still don't even have a clue with how to work it. And these 2 guys in particular are pretty amazing with it. Aaron, if you pop to the next. The thing that I loved about this, if you look at the caption, you know, Lyndon came into middle school with a Chinese school background, and his English, you know, in some ways he's speaking English at home, but writing more in Chinese at school. And to see that kind of sentence fluency and technical language was just, it blew my mind, where I was just like, wow, you know, and that quote says it all. As a passion for authentic technology develops, so he's very passionate about the tech side, so does his technical literacy and his ability to write and speak in that language. And I think that's another thing we want to remember is as your kids come into this program, they're developing literacy on so many levels. Interviewing, speaking, listening, follow-up questions, writing the original questions, reaching out and doing emails, technological literacy.
He's throwing out messages to other, you know, I think it was 12-year-olds at the time being like, make sure you're doing all of these things. So it was wonderful to be able to see that.
She's come a long way. She was a great grade 6 student, but she really has taken her sort of leadership to another level. And she's going to talk a little bit about again, we talked about something I'm passionate about is this idea of sharing global citizenship and global issues with our students, because I think getting out of our bubble is the only way we're going to make our future better. And she has really embraced that, and her story will trace some of what she's doing for our program in that aspect. She's interviewed one of my heroes, this guy Salvador, and she'll talk a little bit about that too. So Sabrina Lamb.
Hello, my name is Sabrina, and I'm the Senior Vice President and Secretary of FPR. One of Futures Public Radio's main mission is building a global issues media network. On this page, you can see interviews we have done with the local community of ISB, including Maui, Women's Month, Anti-Bullying Committee. In addition, we have also reached out to the global community and interviewed people like Kali Sweeney and Salvador. I had the chance to interview Salvador, who was one of the boys that had to flee South Sudan during the Civil War. His courage and perseverance that kept him alive continue to this day, and after relocating to the U.S., he founded the non-profit organization Water for South Sudan. Salva's story is told in the book New York Times bestseller, A Long Walk to Water by Linda Sue Park. Here is a short clip from the interview. We're from Futures Public Radio. What was it like to be an 11-year-old during the Civil War?
When I was young, I was going to school and then taking care of cows and goats and play with my cousin and do what kids always do until war came and then went to refugee camp. And from refugee camp, I came to US and I was going to school and I didn't know where my parents were all this time until I find out. And when I find out that my parents are still alive, and then I went back and met with my father who was sick and came back, and I said I should do something to provide clean water to my people. Water is very important all over the world. It's not just South Sudan or not just China or America, it's for everyone. Without water, life will not be existing in this world completely, it would be zero.
So the book that we read in 6th grade, Long Walk to Water, there is a quote in the letter to the reader, and it's, "Stay calm when things are hard or not right with you. You will get through it when you persevere instead of quitting. Quitting leads to much less happiness in life than perseverance and hope." Could you please describe how it connects with you and what you do?
Life is difficult, but if you are not patient with it, if you are not persevering with it, if you don't have hope for it, then you might not get anywhere. And the solution is not to quit. Never quit when you are doing something. If you quit, then you accept to be the loser. And when you become a loser, you will never make a difference in your life or in the life of other people. Persevering and having hope always is the only way to go. And that's where we can change our world, because life is not easy and we have to cope with it and work with it.
Talking about passionate changemakers, this coming Friday, FPR is going to Global Issues Network Conference in Concordia, Shanghai. There will be 5 inspiring keynote speakers, and FPR gets the chance to have a 30-minute interview with each of them about their story and the influences they have made on the world. We're the only middle school team going there, and we were also invited to cover the entire video media of the conference. Another skill I've developed in FPR is leadership. I take lead by communicating with other FPR members through WeChat, run meetings, and finally organize and prepare for the GIN conference. These 21st century learning skills I have developed at FPR, I will be taking with me as I go to high school and beyond. Please take a chance to check out some amazing videos we have created, and for more information on Futures Public Radio. Thank you.
Evan's been somebody that I've been really, really close to since 6th grade. This is our 3rd year working together now. And when I talk to people about who Evan is today, they don't believe, how much he's changed, from the person that I described him as 2 years ago. And that's enough for me because I'm about to get teary-eyed now. But Evan Lin, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi everybody, my name's Evan, and my story started all back in 6th grade. In 6th grade, I was a very shy kid that barely talked in front of anybody, even the teachers. I would not express I would have troubles expressing my ideas and would rather help than lead. FPR has helped me grow in socializing with my friends by allowing me to ask for help when I need it, like for editing or filming, and build my leadership skills like Sabrina. One day, Mr. Sostak asked me if I would like to do an interview with this famous poet named Luca Lesson. After the 2 years of learning and being in FPR, I could finally say yes. But he told me that the interview was tomorrow, so I didn't know anything about this person. That night, I just read all about one poem, and the next day during lunch, I sat with the Lao Shi crew. It's just like these two Lao Shi, and made up some questions. Interview turned out very well, even though I only had 1 day to prepare.
Hi, this is Luca Lesson, and you are listening to Futures Public Radio at the International School of Beijing.
So we as grade 8 students in ISB, we've been using your poem, The Future Ancient, alongside our shared novel as we looked at the control of the future. Can you give us one of your favorite stanzas or lines that...
Sure. So The Future Ancients is an interesting poem. I'll read a couple of sections that I like from it. In the future, the history books will study us. Our cities will have been renamed, our languages slanged into something new, and this moment will one day be ancient. The future ancients will be found by future archaeologists, preserved and embalmed in tequila and Chanel No. 5, alongside pop star prophets who thought they were somehow saying something new this time. They will find them, praying to gods who believe in science, on a planet of do's and don'ts, of factions and fractions, of us's and them's and we's and whatevers and maybe nevers and never agains. The future ancients will be found in tombs of cheap liquor, in databases of tradition, on screens called culture, as relics of broken signals. They will be hardly visited as bones, but remembered in the symbology of pixel and paranoia. The future ancients will be remembered or lost depending on what we decide. I chose that section because I think it's really interesting that we live most of our lives online. You know, like so many of us have like social media presences, and so many people now are living their lives according to what they are going to be, how they are going to be consumed online.
There's a lot of inspiring like quotes that he talks about. Entertainment might not have a message that will influence the people, but like education and entertainment together will influence the lives of everybody. Another cool experience was playing music for Women's Month and like just in general. And every morning, most of the morning, I go to this booth and play music for the teachers to relax and wait for the hectic children to arrive. Another great experience was Grade 8 Idol. Grade 8, that's when I first joined FPR. That was last year at the end of the year. And Arissa couldn't attend to the Grade 8 Idol, so I replaced her spot. And I didn't know anything about cameras or technology, so I asked my friends like Sabrina, Sean, or Ethan for help. And the Grade 8 Idol was a success. And this is a trailer.
Eighth grade idol is a very important part in the 8th grade year because it helps us 8th graders have a chance to display our talents to the world and the ISB community. It helps people grow and shows what we can do as 8th graders and how we are going to impact the future.
another experience that I had was sitting behind the TriCaster with Lyndon. Lyndon has taught me how to use the TriCaster as that equipment that was in Lyndon's photo. And now I'm in a broadcasting group. This would be a great opportunity for people of all ages, from grade 4 to grade 12, to come and build their social skills and collaborate with some awesome people. Thank you.
He's probably spoken to hundreds of different students through working equipment, through being able to try and get interviews, through being told on the spot that he has to train 3 Chinese teachers to translate poetry from a poet that's coming from Australia to get them prepped to be on the spot doing a live interview by tomorrow. And this is just, it's been such an amazing experience for him, and we're so lucky to have him for everything that he contributes. Another big up-and-comer who we joke is already the secret president of the program, but will probably be one day, Christina. Let's go for it.
My name is Christina Lin, and I'm currently a 6th grader. As a 6th grader and joining FPR, I think we have so many opportunities. For example, the Global Issues Network Conference, which we are going to on Friday, where we are going as the only middle school media team. This gives us a chance to talk to many influential people. And not to forget, the journalism conference that we are going to hold in May, which Sean will talk about later. Also, there are so many leadership opportunities in projects, in committees, and more. And not to mention, we get to interview many influencers from international places, Beijing and our school. Here are some of the people that Futures Public Radio has reached out to. Today, I'm going to go in depth into one of the people that I reached out to. His name is Kali Sweeney, also known as Coach Kali, and he is a CNN hero. When he was just 6 weeks old, his parents gave him away to a woman in the neighborhood. He thought it was his fault, so he was always getting in trouble and became friends with the wrong people. Yet, he was able to turn his life around, realizing it would have been different if someone had kept him on track as a child. He wanted to help save other people, other young people from the same path. Sweeney had already fallen in love with boxing. When he realized that he wanted to help kids in his neighborhood, he knew it was one way to reach them, boxing. So he started by teaching a few kids in a nearby park. In 2007, Sweeney started the Downtown Boxing Gym youth program. 5 days a week, around 100 children are picked up from school and brought to his gym. He also opened up a tutoring center in the gym to help the students learn and thrive. I had seen his story on CNN and thought it would be great if I interviewed him, because he was such a big influence to kids in Detroit. That's why I went on his website and found and got in touch with Robin Schwartz, who got me in contact with Kali. We set up the interview and I started asking questions. There were a few answers that had really impacted my life and I think it would impact you too.
There's a lot of violence still out here in the community. A lot of guys going and joining gangs. So I wanted to start and give them a safe place to go where they don't have to join gangs and they don't have to, go to life out, knowing how to be right. Safe place. My mother and father, they gave away when I was a young person. I was like 6 weeks old when my mother and father gave me to some people who didn't even know. And so I was raised in a real tough neighborhood. My school life was real hard. I didn't learn a lot in school. By the time I was like in 11th, 12th grade, I still hadn't learned to read or write. So it's pretty hard for me growing up. Well, we didn't have one growing up. I didn't have anybody to help me with homework. I didn't have anybody to sit with me one-on-one and teach me how to read. Because if I would have had, my life would have been so much better. I wouldn't have had to struggle so much as a kid. And I was thinking kids in the suburbs and kids in well-to-do neighborhoods, they get tutors, they get enrichment programs, they have all those opportunities. So I wonder if their place had all those same opportunities. Yeah. If you see a problem and you can give a hand, stop and try and help somebody who's in need. Today, in today's society, a lot of people get so busy that they can't stop and help a person in need. I just think that's sad.
I mentioned this at the beginning. I'm also a parent of somebody in Futures Radio. This is my daughter, Lucy. She's a 4th grader. And seeing the little kids learn from the big kids, and Christina was one, though, that she just came in and she's just run with it. Like her curiosity, I think, is the thing that really impresses me. Like when we first started FPR and she showed up this year, she's like, I got a CNN hero to interview. Can you be here on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock? Okay. You reached out to a CNN hero, and then that became, and you can see the power of that connection with somebody like Kali, and he loves this interview, and he was so polite, and they had such a wonderful conversation. Just wished Skype worked better in China sometimes. But in particular, I feel like I'm a proud father in this program too, because my daughter is, you can tell, what she's learning as a youngster from these role models that are also students, right? So, and she's actually got some amazing pieces on FPR too. So if you get a chance to dig through the website, look for the blonde girl on the left. She's pretty awesome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good morning. My name is Sean Queck, and I'm here to talk to you about the power of Futures Public Radio. Not only does FPR benefit students by teaching them skills in filmmaking, storytelling, and interviewing, FPR also helps empower students using media and teaches them to express oneself and share stories to the community that they believe are worth sharing. Speaking from personal experience, FPR has opened doors for me and given me opportunities that otherwise would never have been possible. Without FPR, I would never have been able to have the opportunity to interview remarkable people, to report on amazing events, and attend global education conferences. If you go to Culture Shock, which is where most of my pieces are uploaded, you can just see here we have a ballet production trailer that I filmed. Here's a trailer for the middle school production. Here we have a trailer for the Great Idol. Here I went into the local community and investigated Jianbing. And we also interviewed amazing artists within our school community. These are all pieces that I worked on, and they're all primarily my pieces. And one thing I find FPR really helps me is to network. Through FPR, I have the ability to meet with and interview and talk to anyone. On top of that, through FPR, I've also been able to grow as a filmmaker and tell stories that make a difference while perfecting my craft. As president of FPR, I've also grown as a person. I've learned how to reach out to inspiring people and organizations, how to inspire and mentor others, and how to lead others and spread FPR's vision. The list goes on, but I know that no matter what my future profession is, the skills I learned here at FPR will help and prepare me. I've prepared a short montage of my work. Being able to see a handful of students, close friends of mine, grow to a group of 40 plus and spread to other international schools worldwide, that's an immensely powerful feeling. And I want to end today's talk with a question. What story would you like FPR to tell? I want you to think back. Is there someone you think would be worth interviewing? Is there a story you think would be worth telling? Is there an event you think is absolutely amazing, or is there something really important that you just want to share? FPR may be the voice of the future, but we're the community that helps build it. Thank you.
Sean has been there since the conception. Sean has been there, right, helping to diagram together what we need, who we need, how we need to do it. Sean has been our cinematography coach, and my band's music videos have gotten so much better because of things I learned from Sean, right? And if I've had that effect, I can only imagine how much the other 40, 50 members of our group have grown as well. Right? I've seen it how he's passionate about something, and he's now let that drive his leadership. Before he had the passion, but now he knows how to talk to people, how to lead people, how to help other people grow, and now how to take cool global issues and things in our community and help a larger group celebrate these strengths and passions as well.
May 26th and 27th, we're going to be hosting the first ever international sort of global issues journalism conference. We're going to be calling it Community Media for Change, very similar to what we just called this presentation today. And our hope is to bring in the 56 international schools in Beijing to our campus and basically do types of workshops, hands-on workshops around the things that the kids talked about, led by them. We'll do some teacher workshops for teachers and for parents, but for your students, even if they're not in FPR or don't want to have the time to join FPR, we'd love for them to be in this conference. It's going to be at the end of May. Within this is we're going to have some visiting podcasters from the States, in particular this group from a podcast called Out of the Blocks. And it's a brilliant podcast. If you have a chance, you should get it on your phone. But what they do, this is Aaron and Wendell, they go into the tough neighborhoods of Baltimore, Maryland, and they say, there's a block, there's a city block, and we're going to interview everybody on that block. And then they pull the interviews together, and they create about a 45-minute podcast with all the different voices and stories. And the idea being is that they want to build empathy. They want to preach the fact that what we talked about earlier, everybody has a story. The cool thing is they've asked us to do it here. So what we're going to do with the help of Serena and some other of our local teachers or our Chinese teachers is we're just going to go across the street. And we are going to interview seniors that live in our apartments across the street and tell their story. So we'll have a Mandarin version, and then we'll have a translated English version, and they're going to come here, help us post-produce it, be at the conference, and release it in the U.S. So, it gets me chills. I'm really excited about it, and they're beautiful people, so it's going to be a great experience for the kids. We're putting out quality work, quality, sustainable messages, okay, and you saw the learning that's going on. So anything you guys can do to support our endeavor, we would be indebted. So please share the messages, share the links, share the stories, and enjoy the stories. It was so cool to see everybody sitting here for a full hour without phones out and just enjoying student learning, right? And enjoying community and enjoying citizenship. Let's give these kids another hand.